You're standing on a stone ridge in northern China, wind pulling at your coat. Below you, a wall runs along the spine of the mountain and disappears into fog in both directions. It has been standing here for 600 years. No steel inside it, no concrete, no cement. Nobody who built this had ever seen a bag of cement in their life because it wouldn't be invented for another 4 centuries. And yet you're standing on it, right now. It's holding your weight. So how did they do it? How do you build the longest structure humans have ever made and make it outlive the empire that ordered it? Think about what this wall had to survive. Northern China is brutal. Winters drop far below freezing. Water gets into a crack, freezes, expands, and splits the stone open. Then it thaws. Then it does it again, every single year. For centuries. Add summer rain. Add sandstorms coming off the Gobi. Add earthquakes. Northern China sits on active fault lines. And add the actual point of the thing. It was a military structure. It was supposed to be hit. Garrisons lived on it. Beacon towers signaled along it. Whole towns depended on it holding. A wall that crumbles in 50 years is worse than no wall at all because people build their lives behind it. Now here's the part that should stop you. This wasn't one wall built once. According to a 2012 survey by China's State Administration of Cultural Heritage, all the surveyed Great Wall sections together run about 21,000 kilometers. UNESCO puts the figure at more than 20,000. Construction spans from roughly the 3rd century BC to the 17th century AD, 2,000 years of building, across deserts, mountains, grassland, and marsh. So let's list what they didn't have. No Portland cement. That's the gray powder in every modern building. It was patented in 1824 by Joseph Aspdin, an English bricklayer. The Great Wall's most famous sections were finished centuries before that. No steel reinforcement, no rebar cages, no concrete mixers, no cranes, no trucks, no hydraulic anything, no engineering degrees, no stress calculations, no materials science. Compare that to now. We pour concrete with computer-controlled mixes, and a lot of modern concrete structures are designed for a service life of 50 to 100 years. We already worry about the bridges we built in the 1960s. They had dirt, rocks, fire, water, and rice. By every modern standard, this thing should be a pile of rubble in a field. It isn't. They didn't build a wall. They built compressed ground. The oldest technique is called Hangtu, rammed earth, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You put up 2 wooden boards. You fill the gap with earth, just a few centimeters at a time. Then a crew beats it with heavy wooden rammers until the layer is dense as rock. Then another thin layer. Beat it. Another. Beat it. The wall rises maybe a hand's width per round of work. It's slow. It's punishing. And when it's done, you've essentially turned loose soil into stone. No binder required. Just pressure and patience. Take apart a Han-era wall today, and you can still count the layers, like tree rings. In the desert, they built with reeds. Out in Gansu province near Dunhuang, sections of the Han dynasty wall were built starting around the reign of Emperor Wu. The first stretch there dates to roughly 127 BC, with construction pushing west through the Hexi corridor in the decades after. There's no good stone out there, almost no timber. So they used what the desert had. Sand, gravel, and bundles of reed and red willow branches. Layer of sand and gravel. Layer of reeds. Ram it. Repeat. The plant fiber works like reinforcement running through the mass. The same basic idea as putting straw in mud brick or fiber in a modern composite. The surviving stretch there is only about 3 meters wide at the base and a little over 3 meters tall today. It has been sitting in the open desert for over 2,000 years. The rule was simple. Build with whatever is under your feet. This is the part most people miss. There was no standard design. Mountains, quarry the granite right there and cut foundation blocks. Desert, sand and reeds. Lowest plateau, ram the earth. Near clay and fuel, fire bricks on site. Hauling material across China was the expensive part, so they mostly didn't. The wall changes its material every time the landscape changes. It's less a single structure and more a 2,000-year-old habit of using local ground to defend local ground. Then came the chemistry. Lime. Here's the trick that replaced cement. You take limestone, you burn it in a kiln at very high heat. That drives carbon dioxide out and leaves you with quick climb. Add water. It reacts violently, hisses, heats up, and you get slaked lime, a soft white paste. Spread that paste between your bricks and leave it exposed to air, and something quietly remarkable happens. It slowly pulls carbon dioxide back out of the atmosphere and turns back into a form of limestone. You are, essentially, gluing stone together with stone. Lime mortar is weaker than modern cement, but it's flexible. It tolerates small movement instead of cracking, and it can partly reseal its own hairline cracks over time. And then they added rice. This is the one that sounds like a myth. It isn't. Ming dynasty builders mixed sticky rice soup into their lime mortar. Research, led by Bing Jiang at Zhejiang University, published in the journal Accounts of Chemical Research, analyzed mortar from Ming-era structures, including the old city wall of Nanjing and Ming tombs, and it identified the reason it works. Sticky rice contains a starch called amylopectin. Mixed into lime mortar, it acts as a kind of brake on how the calcium carbonate crystals grow, smaller, tighter crystals. A denser, more compact microstructure, more water-resistant, and by the researchers' testing, stronger and more stable than lime mortar alone. Worth being clear about what we do and don't know here. The chemistry has been measured in the lab on historic samples, and the sticky rice lime technique is well documented in Chinese masonry of this period. What didn't survive is a single written master recipe. Proportions almost certainly varied by region, by crew, by what the local rice harvest looked like that year. Modern chemistry reverse-engineered a craft that was passed on by hand. They didn't know the word amylopectin. They knew that this mortar held. Then there are the bricks with names on them. By the Ming dynasty, long stretches were faced with kiln-fired brick over a rammed earth or rubble core. Cut stone at the base, brick above, and many surviving bricks carry stamped inscriptions, markings recording things like the unit, the kiln, the date, the people responsible for producing them. Think about what that means. If a brick failed, you could trace it back. Quality control fired into the clay itself 600 years ago. And they designed against water, not just against armies. Water is what actually kills masonry, not invaders. So the top surfaces were paved and sloped. Drainage channels ran along the walkways. Spouts pushed rainwater clear of the wall face instead of letting it soak down into the core. Every section that survived is a section where the water had somewhere else to go. Now step back and look at what's actually holding this thing up. It isn't rice. It isn't lime. It isn't even the stone. No single engineer designed the Great Wall. There's no master architect's name on it. Nobody alive at the start of it was alive at the end of it. It was built by soldiers, conscripted farmers, prisoners, brickmakers, and lime burners, most of whom left no name at all. Chinese tradition remembers the human cost in the legend of Meng Jiangnu, the woman said to have wept until a section of the wall collapsed to reveal her husband's body. A story, not a record. But it tells you what the memory of building it felt like. What actually accumulated across those 2,000 years was knowledge. Somebody noticed that thinner rammed layers held better. Somebody noticed reeds stopped dessert sections from slumping. Somebody noticed the batch of mortar with rice in it survived the winter when the plain batch didn't. None of them could see the whole wall. Each of them could see their own section, and the section their grandfather built, and whether it was still standing. That's the mechanism. Not genius, correction, repeated across generations, written into the ground. They never had cement. What they had was the ground under their feet, fire, a little chemistry they couldn't explain, and generation after generation of people paying attention to what lasted and what didn't. They didn't need a better material. They just needed to never stop learning from the wall that fell down last winter. 600 years later, you're still standing on the answer.